And welcome back, Mindsetters. Hope you had a nice little break. You went to do whatever you had to do. But now you need to be paying attention. Make sure that you got your pens and pads out and you're ready to make notes. So if your little brother's distracting you, mom's asking you questions, dad's wanting you to go and clean out the garage, whatever, you now need to pay attention. Get your pens and pads out, as I said. And make sure you're writing notes. Because right now we're going to continue. I'm handing it over to Peter. Peter, take it away.
I don't think we're supposed to be telling kids not to listen to their parents, eh?
But they have to do school. You can't
Hey,
ask me to do
yeah,
school
yeah,
and
yeah.
listen to my parents at the same time because they want us to pass. You know, it gets complicated.
All right, let's get back to Matt. So, folks, just before the break, what were we doing? We were looking at Lydia, who's got a rocket, and she shoots it straight up into the air. Okay, and then it comes down. But now take note, from the time she shoots it up to the air, time starts going. Right? And so we start with a stopwatch and we go click and we measure how high she's going over a period of time. Remembering that as our rocket's getting higher and higher, it's slowing down. Why is it slowing down? Because gravity's pulling on it. And then it gets to a point where it stops and now it starts to fall down again. And as it comes closer and closer to the ground, the speed increases and it goes faster and faster and faster until it hits the ground. So, what graph best illustrates what we've just spoken about? Let's start with graph D. Guys, it can't be graph D. And the reason it can't be, because according to this graph, we start time at a specific point and we end time at that point. So in other words, what we're saying is she lights the rocket and it goes vroom, vroom, and no time's gone past. Now that's impossible. That can't happen. So we know it's not that graph. If we look over here, we can see a graph. Now remember, this is not the path the rocket's taking. It's not at all. Okay? It's looking at time over height. So this graph is saying at this point, we're at this height. And we stay at this height right up into this point. In other words, if this is my rocket and I shoot it up, it's going to get to a point and it's going to stop. It's not going to get any higher. And we're going to wait 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds, and then it's going to come down. Guys, that doesn't happen. Not at all. So it can't be graph C. If we look at graph B, what we're saying is we're going to start at a height, and as time goes along, the height is going to reduce. Well, that can't happen, because if I shoot a rocket up, it's going to go up, isn't it? Of course it is. The height's going to get higher. It's not going to go lower, so it can't be graph B. Well, that leaves graph A, but let's just make sure it makes sense. As time goes, the rocket's going to go higher and higher. There, as time's going, you can see the rocket's going higher, 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 higher. And then it gets to a point and the rocket now becomes lower and lower and lower. See the height? It's getting lower and lower as time is moving on. Now, I just moved that whole thing there. Okay, there we go. Right. So it has to be graph A. Let's go on to the next question, because we've got a similar one to that. Right, now the next question is this. While standing on the top of a building, Alex threw a ball upwards into the air. The ball landed on the ground. Okay, so let's draw a diagram here. So here I have a building, and here's little Alex, okay? Here's my artistic flair coming out in this program. So Alex has got a little ball here, and he throws it up into the air, and then it comes down. Now, we're not sure the path of that ball. He could have thrown it like this, or he could have thrown it straight up and it came straight down. But what we do know is he's standing on a building, he throws it up, and it passes him, and it goes all the way down. So we know he's starting at a certain height. The height's going to go high, and then it's going to go low. So let's have a look now at these graphs, okay? Look here. Here we're starting at the ground. Well, that can't be true. Okay, let's get a different color. Here we go. That can't be true. Why not? Because we're not starting at the ground. Okay, let's look at B. B, we're starting at the ground, or up here somewhere, but the height's going down. Well, that's not true, because we said we threw it up in the air, and then it came down to our level, and then even lower. Right? So here it is here. Let's have a look at this graph. He's starting at a specific height. The height is increasing. Now this is encouraging. The height's going up. And then look what happens. Over a period of time, it stays the same height. Now that's not possible. I'm standing on a building. I throw the tin up, and it just hangs in the air. Okay? It hangs there for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds and then comes plummeting down. Guys, that's not possible. So we know it can't be C graph either. Let's have a look at B. As time is going, so the height is changing the whole time. It's going higher and higher and higher, and then it goes lower and lower. Look, that's where we're starting from. So we're on this building. It goes to a height, comes past us. Oops. It comes past us, and then comes all the way down to the ground. So I would say D is my option. But remember, whenever I answer that, the path that you're seeing, or rather the graph you're seeing, is not the path that my rocket or my tin or my soccer ball or whatever it is following. This you're seeing on the graph is showing the relationship between the height and the time. It's a difficult concept to understand, folk, but if you can understand it, hey, I tell you what, you're on your way to getting a level 7. Okay, my next question. Similar sort of thing. Now, Nathan shot his model rocket from the ground into the air. It landed on top of a building. So here we have Nathan. He's playing around with a rocket, okay? In fact, that's what happened after Christmas last year. I bought my son a lovely little rocket, okay? And he said, Dad, I want to play with it. I said, well, my boy, let's rather go down to the cricket field or the soccer field and we'll play with it there. Oh, no, Dad, I want to play with it right now. And that's what he did. So he shot it off from the ground, and of course it landed on the roof, and we never played with a rocket again for that day, okay? So exactly the same scenario. Now, which graph best describes it? Well, we can eliminate this graph instantly because it's saying it's starting and ending at the same point. So forget that. Over here, we're saying the starting and ending point's the same. In fact, it's not even on the ground. It's way up there. So we're shooting the rocket from up there. It's coming down and then going back up there. Well, that didn't happen. So we can forget graph B. Graph C is interesting. We're starting at the ground, okay? We're shooting it up into the air, right? And it's traveling at a constant speed. And then what begins to happen? Gravity then begins to pull it slower. So you can see it slowing down. It gets to a point, starts to go down, and then voila, hits a roof. And then you will notice as time goes by, it stays on the same height because it can't go through the roof. Okay? So the rocket's going up. It's going up, 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 starts to slow down, starts to come down, boom, on the roof. And no matter how long the time goes, it stays on that roof, stays on the same height. Okay, so I would say it's probably C. I don't think it's D because D, we're starting way up and we're landing on the ground. There's the ground, okay, because the height is 0 meters on the ground over there. So we know it's not D. There's one more I want to do like this, so let's have a look at this. Now, Roma fired a model rocket. It was a dud and did not lift off the ground at all. Oy, oy, oy. So now let's have a look at these 4 graphs. One of them describes the relationship between the height and the time. So what happens now is we've got this rocket, and so we light it, okay? And as we light it, we run away. But the rocket stays there. It doesn't go off at all, okay? Absolute dud. Hate that when that happens, okay? You're expecting something to go up, light explosions, and nothing happens. There it is, okay? And there it stays. So the rocket has not gone up at all. But has time stopped? No, time can't stop. So time has continued, but the rocket has stayed on the same level. So we know our rocket doesn't even take off. We know it doesn't even move, okay? Let's have a look here. It's on the ground. We light it. After a few seconds, it's still on the ground. A few more seconds, it's still on the ground. And after a whole lot of time, it's still on the ground. You know what? I would say graph C best describes that. Graph D doesn't because it shows it's taking off and going down. And you know what? The height's not changing at all. It's staying on the ground. Okay. Guys, I hope this is clear, hey? Okay. I've given this to my grade 12s as a portfolio piece. Put this question in. If any of them are watching, they're going to be like absolutely thrilled and say, hey, we know the answers. Okay, but I don't know if any of them are watching because I think they're doing all kinds of cross-country and music things and all kinds of weird and wonderful things. Okay, let's move on. Now, I've got another question that I'm going to give you. It's the good old-fashioned cell phone question. It's come up so often. Let's do it. It would be rather silly of me not to tackle this question, knowing how often cell phones are spoken about or the scenario of cell phones is used in a mathematical literacy paper. All right, let's read the question. The following table represents the rates charged by cellular network in South Africa when cell phones first arrived in the Republic. Using the table and the set of axes attached, sketch graphs illustrating the costs involved using each of the packages. All three graphs are to be drawn on the same set of axes. Okay? Peak time, now we are talking about peak time, and they tell us what peak time is a time during a weekday when phone calls are expensive. Okay, folk, we're going way back in time now, when cell phones first came to South Africa. And I remember when they first did. Oh, I hate saying that because it makes me seem so old, but I do, hey, I really do. But they weren't the nice little cell phones that we have nowadays that you can, in fact, I don't quite understand the logic of it. They seem to be making cell phones smaller and smaller and thinner, and it's easy to lose the things, okay? You sneeze and phew, off goes your cell phone. All right. Whereas in the old days, when I first was around when cell phones came out, they used to look like a brick, seriously, okay? You couldn't even put this thing in your pocket because it was so big. You couldn't fit in your top pocket, wouldn't fit, so you used to carry this thing around. But that was okay because not many people had a cell phone in the good old days, and so it was a yuppie thing, okay? You were a real mano. You were a cool dude if you had a cell phone. So you wanted to make sure everyone saw you had one. So you'd walk around with this brick, check, I got a cell phone, check. I got a cell. Okay, you were proud of your cell phone. All right. Unfortunately, I never had one. I just used to look at all the other guys and think, oh, I wish I had one. Okay, so in those days, this particular company, don't know what it was. We don't want to know what the company was. They had three possibilities of, or three different types of packages. The first package, package number one, says this. It's a pay-as-you-go, right? In other words, you go off, just like pay-as-you-go today. You go off to a shopping center, right? You go into a shop and say, I need 25 Rand airtime. They give you 25 Rand, and you go home, and guys, you phone your girl. And you talk, 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 and you talk. Well, you don't talk. Let's get real. She talks. She talks, and she talks, and she talks, and she talks, and next minute you don't hear her. And you think, oh, it's a miracle. No, it's not. The cell phone's just run out of time. So you go back to the shopping center and you buy some more airtime. And you phone her and she talks and she talks and she talks and she talks and she stops talking and you think, oh, it's a miracle. No, it's not. You've run out of more airtime. Okay? So pay as you go means as I'm paying, I can talk. If I run out of that airtime, I can't talk no more. All right? Now, free minutes, not applicable. You're not going to get any free minutes. The cost per peak minute is 3 Rand. These are important things we need to know. Then there was a package number 2. Package number 2 said, hey, you're going to give us 200 Rand every month. Before you've even made a call, you owe us 200 Rand. Why? Because we're going to call it a subscription fee. So what do I get? Why must I pay 200 Rand and this guy down here doesn't pay 200? Well, you're going to pay 200 for 2 reasons. Number one, okay, in fact, for one reason only, actually, we are going to give you a cheaper rate. Instead of this here paying 3 Rand a minute, you only need to pay 2 Rand a minute. Now, that's great news, hey? Because you can phone your girlfriend, and she can talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and that guy over there, his girlfriend, finishes talking because his time's run out, but you can still carry on listening to her, okay? And she can talk and talk and talk and talk even more. Why? Your calls are only 2 Rand. Now, the package 3 says this. Your monthly subscription is 500 Rand. Oh, my Gideon. 500 Rand, and I haven't even made a call. Why? Well, for the following reason. Number one, we're going to give you 200 minutes, free, gratis. You can talk for 200 minutes, and we're not going to charge you. Okay? So your girlfriend can talk and talk and talk. Just 200 minutes is a long time, eh? Not for a woman, but generally.
Probably
okay.
Your battery will die first.
So she can talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. 200 minutes and you haven't paid for it yet. Well, you have actually, hey? You've paid that subscription. The other reason is they're only going to charge you 1 Rand for talking per minute. Now, we're going to put this on a graph. And the first thing we're going to do is do this. Say, right, here's my number of peak minutes that I talk, and this is the cost of it. Now remember, our first package said this: if I don't talk, I'm not paying. After that, every minute that I talk, or every minute that my girlfriend talks to me, is going to cost me 3 rand. So 100 minutes is going to cost me 300 rand. 200 minutes, 200 times 3 is going to cost me 600 minutes. There it is over there. 400 minutes, 400 times 3 rand is going to cost me a whopping 1,200 rand. Okay? 1,200 rand. There it is over there. Now, once we've plotted all these points, and I'm not going to plot them all, but once I've plotted these points, I can now draw a straight line. And guys, it has to be a straight line. Why? Because every minute is costing me the same amount of money. Remember, when I see a straight line, I know I'm dealing with something that's constant. In other words, something that is the same. Right? So each minute is 3 rand. The 3rd and 4th minute is still 3 rand a minute. The 20th minute is still 3 rand a minute. Because of that, I've got a straight line. So what I'm going to attempt to do now is draw a straight line. So let's do that. So on yellow, here we go. We're going to start here. We're going to go through this point. I'm going to keep drawing, and hopefully it's going to fit into my graph over here. Let's keep going all the way, okay, right up to there. And that should be kind of a straight line, hopefully. Okay. There, we just cheat a bit and make it straight. Right. Now, what's my second package? My second package says this, that if I make no calls at all, I'm still going to be charged 200 rand. Remember, that's what it said. I'm going to pay a monthly subscription of 200 rand. So I don't talk to anyone. I buy my cell phone. And there it is. And I take out this package 2 contract, and I've got to pay 200 rand. And I put my cell phone down. And now I watch it in anticipation, in the hope, in the absolute anxiety that somebody out there cares and someone's going to phone me, but nobody does. And so a whole month goes past and my phone hasn't rung. And then I get the bill. And the bill is 200 rand. Why? Because there's a subscription fee of 200 rand. So if we look at our graph, even if I haven't, and let's go green this time, even if I haven't made a call, I'm being charged 200 rand. If I now make 200 minutes worth of calls, remember every minute is 2 rand. So 200 minutes times 2 rand is going to cost me 400 rand. But not just the 400 rand, because I also got to pay that subscription of 200. So it's going to cost me 600 rand. There's the point right over there. Now, what happens if I talk for 400 minutes? Well, if I talk for 400 minutes, 400 times 2 is 800 rand. But there's still that subscription of 200 rand. So I'm paying the 800 plus the 200 just for having the contract, which is going to take me to 1,000 rand, which is that point. And again, folk, we're going to draw it as a straight line. Why? Because every minute cost me the same. And so I'm going to attempt again to draw a straight line. Let's do that. So I'm starting at 200 this time, and I'm going to keep going. There I go. And I've got to just go up on the screen a bit so you can see it. Let's hopefully we still get this kind of straight. And there it is over there. And again, I'm going to cheat and just move that line. Okay. And that's that. And finally, I have to draw the line for package number 3. But I think we've got to take a break. I don't know. Producer, can we do it or do we take a break?
I think we should take a break, huh?
Okay, no, she's telling me do it quick. So I listen to her. I'd really like to listen to you, but she's a woman. Got to do as she tells me. Right, so now the next package says this. You're going to pay 500 rand. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm starting off, before I even make a call, I'm going to pay 500 rand. So it's 200 to 400. 500 rand is going to be, 400, 600, 500 rand is over there. You see, I'm trying to be quick now, and it's scary. Okay, so we've got 500 rand. But here's the exciting thing. Guys, the exciting thing is, do you remember package 3 said you get 200 minutes for free? So when I talk for 200 minutes, they're not charging me for it. I'm not going to pay anything. But I still got to pay that 500 rand subscription fee. So for the first, and I'm just going to draw it, I'm not even going to try and draw it straight. There it is. First 200 minutes, that's what I'm paying. How much am I paying if I talk for 400 minutes? Well, if I talk for 400 minutes, I'm getting 200 free. So I'm only paying for 200. And remember, each minute cost me R1. 200 times 1 is 200 Rand. Plus the 500 subscription, 700. So we're going all the way up here to 700. So now that's what this graph is going to look like. Guys, you've got to know how to do that. If you can do that, you understand how to draw most of the graphs. I think now we've got to take that break.
We have to now. Okay, so Mindsetters, make sure you stay tuned. Do not go anywhere, because right after this, we have Rob Macefield coming in, who's going to explain the SA Maths Challenge, and it's open to everybody who does math, not just math literacy, but maths core. So make sure you stick around, but we'll see you after this break.